Listen, stop scrolling, no. Really, because what I'm about to tell you is the kind of tea that makes sweet tea taste bitter. Tamar Braxton is lying. In a hospital bed right now, face bandaged, teeth missing, and she just dropped a bomb. So loud it shook. Atlanta shook love and hip-hop, and honestly shook the entire internet. Now let me ask you this. If you were fighting for your life, would your first words be "pass me the morphine," or would they be "Yandy, Smith, and Mendeecees? Harris tried to end me," because that's exactly what Tamar just did. And baby, she did not stutter. The internet is in flames, hashtags exploding, TikTok skits already reenacting the scene, cousin Keshia's name trending again. Because apparently history doesn't just repeat itself. It shows up uninvited at the club swinging bottles. And the question everyone's asking, did Tamar Braxton just expose the reality TV mafia? Or is this another messy stunt in a career that's basically fueled by chaos either way? Buckle up, because this isn't just drama, this is blood betrayal, and the kind of silence that screams guilt. Tamar Braxton, lying in a hospital bed with tubes in her arm and bruises on her face, has turned into the most shocking story Atlanta has heard in years. And the names she whispered from that bed are names that everyone thought were untouchable. Yandy, Smith, and Mendeecees Harris, the supposed power. Couple the image of family goals, the polished smiling faces of love and hip-hop, now being dragged into the darkest scandal of their careers. Because Tamar says what happened to her was no accident. She says it was an attack, and she knows exactly who orchestrated it. And the internet cannot get enough people are asking how a night that started as a simple birthday dinner could spiral into blood-missing teeth and hospital confessions. And the deeper you look, the more the pieces start to connect. Tamar started her evening with Funky Geneva at Ruth's. Chris. Just a birthday celebration, some food, some wine, a little laughter. No one thought anything dramatic would happen. But when she moved to V12 Lounge, that's when the night shifted. Because inside that club was Mendeecees Harris, and if you know anything about him, you know he has a history that follows him everywhere. Reality TV has documented years of women clashing over him, chaos surrounding him, and his way of surviving has always been the same: silence. So when Tamar and Mendeecees started vibing, whispering, leaning close, and brushing hands, it was only a matter of time before someone else entered the picture, and that someone was Yandy Smith the moment she walked. Into that lounge, the energy froze. People felt the tension before they even saw her. The air got sharp. The music didn't matter anymore. The only thing that mattered was the look that passed between Tamar, Yandy, and Mendeecees. A look that said something, was about to explode. Eyewitnesses say Tamar laughed too loud, trying to play it cool. Others claim Yandy walked up with that calm, polished attitude. She's famous for the one that hides fire behind a smile, and the next moment words started flying. Tamar allegedly snapped, "Do you have a problem?" And Yandy replied, "Do I?" Her voice steady, her eyes cutting through the room. Phones went up, drinks paused midair. Everyone knew this was about to be messy. Mendeecees, of course, sat in silence like he always does, letting the storm swirl around him, letting women tear each other apart while he pretends not to be involved. And that silence is exactly what Tamar later called out. But before we get there, the club scene turned chaotic. Some say Tamar slapped a glass, some insist Yandy shoved it, some swear a drink flew across the floor, and in the middle of the blur, there was a name being whispered. Cousin Kesha for fans of love and hip-hop. That name is legendary because Kesha is the one who once stormed a reunion stage and attacked Samantha while Yandy sat looking innocent as if she had nothing to do with it. And so when Tamar ended up bloodied that night when she left the club, injured fans immediately connected the dots. Tamar versus Yandy cousin? Kesha pulls up damage done, and by morning, Tamar herself posted the unthinkable. She said, "I almost died. I was found in a pool of blood. I fractured my nose, I lost my teeth, and I don't even know what happened to me." The internet went wild. Sympathy poured in, but questions rose just as fast. How does someone lose teeth and fracture their nose and not remember how it happened? It didn't sound like an accident. It sounded like an attack, and Tamar confirmed it. She said from her hospital bed, "I didn't just fall, I was attacked, and I know exactly who was behind it." She said Yandy Smith and Mendeecees Harris, and the room froze. Reporters leaned in, fans refreshed timelines, and Tamar didn't hesitate. She said she saw cousin Kesha. She said she felt the chaos, the drinks, the shouting, the hands grabbing, and she said, "Don't let them lie to you. Don't let them spin it." Kesha was there. She pulled up, and suddenly what fans had only whispered was coming from Tamar herself, her voice. Weak but steady, in a hospital gown with a swollen face, saying, "Yandy pulled the strings." Kesha did the damage, and Mendeecees sat silent. She even dragged Funky Deneva into it, saying she texted him, told him about her injuries, told him about her missing teeth, and he laughed. He joked online, called her that lady. Instead of standing by her side, Tamar said, "That's not friendship, that's betrayal." And the silence shattered, because now it wasn't just gossip. Tamar had spoken directly, and the names she dropped were Burning Yandy posting polished family photos like nothing happened, Mendeecees hiding in the shadows saying nothing, Cousin Kesha nowhere to be found, Funky Deneva still cracking jokes while his friend lay in blood, and the internet refused to let it go. Questions piled up if Tamar was lying. Why didn't Yandy sue? If Tamar was confused, why didn't Mendeecees defend his wife? If Funky Deneva knew the truth, why didn't he post it instead of mocking her? Silence is never empty. In Atlanta, silence is strategy, silence is guilt. And Tamar turned that silence into fire. She accused Yandy of being calculated. She accused Mendeecees of being a coward. She accused Funky Deneva of betrayal. And with each accusation, the internet burned hotter. Fans pulled up old clips of Cousin Kesha storming reunion stages, memes compared Tamar's hospital photos to past love and hip-hop chaos. Hashtags flooded timelines, and by the end of that first day, Tamar Braxton was no longer just a singer, no longer just a reality TV star. She was a survivor, a whistleblower, and a symbol of silence breaking. And yet this was only the beginning, because whispers were spreading that Tamar might have even more proof. And if those whispers were true, then everything Yandy, Mendeecees, and Cousin Kesha had built was about to collapse. By the next morning, the city was vibrating with noise. Every blog had Tamar's swollen face on their thumbnails. Every YouTuber went live before they even brushed their teeth. Twitter hashtags exploded like fireworks, and the one thing that echoed louder than anything else was that Tamar had spoken from her hospital bed and named names: Yandy Smith, Mendeecees Harris, and Cousin Kesha. People could not believe it, but they also could not look away, because this was not some vague rumor. This was not some messy subtweet. Tamar said it straight from her bed while her face was wrapped in bandages. She said, "I saw Kesha." She said Mendeecees sat there. She said Yandy knew what was happening, and she did not stutter. And the silence from the accused was deafening. Yandy tried to continue her usual strategy of posting curated photos with her kids, smiling in the park, or captions about positivity and business moves. But the comments under her posts were no longer filled with heart emojis and support. They were Knives fans asking, where was Cousin Kesha that night? Why was Mendeecees with Tamar at V12? And why is your silence so loud? One user wrote, "Your silence is an admission of guilt." Another posted, "God might fight your battles, but Kesha fights your enemies." And that cryptic Instagram story Yandy uploaded only made things worse. It was a black screen with white text that read, "Do not believe everything you hear. God fights my battles," but instead of calming things down, it lit the internet on fire. Because to the fans, it looked like guilt wrapped in religion, and every sarcastic reply tore her down further. Meanwhile, Mendeecees was drowning without even speaking. Tamar kept repeating his name in her hospital videos, saying, "I watched him sit there. I watched him let it happen. I watched him let me bleed and then walk away." Those words stuck in the minds of everyone, replayed again and again on Instagram, lives chopped up in TikTok edits, quoted in endless threads. The narrative was forming that Mendeecees was worse than Yandy, because Yandy at least fights through other people, but Mendeecees just watches people bleed. One fan wrote, "Silent men are the most dangerous." Another reminded everyone of his history, the times he let women fight around him, the times he let rumors swirl while he sat stone-faced, the times he called silence his weapon. But now that silence looked like guilt, Tamar was building a pattern. She described the look Yandy gave her in the lounge, cold, calculated, like she already knew what was about to happen. Tamar said the room froze. Not because of music, not because of drinks, but because of that look. Yandy's stare was sharper than any words. And Mendeecees sat there acting like silence would save him. But silence does not save anyone. Silence makes you guilty. And that landed with fans who remembered everything. They remembered Cousin Kesha at the reunion. They remembered Samantha being attacked while Yandy sat polished. They remembered how Yandy always played innocent while others did her dirty work, and suddenly Tamar's bloody face was not just an isolated incident. It was the latest chapter in a pattern. The internet started pulling old clips, piecing together every shady move, every calculated silence, every time Kesha appeared out of nowhere, while Yandy's hands looked clean and the memes poured in. One showed Tamar in her hospital bed with the caption, "Silence does not heal." Broken teeth. Another showed Yandy smiling on Instagram overlaid with words, "She does not clap back. She claps silently." A third showed cousin Kesha running across the reunion stage, with the caption, "History repeats itself." And while the memes mocked, the reality was brutal. Tamar had receipts and she was not afraid to show them. She posted a screenshot of a text. She said she sent Funky Deneva the morning after the attack. The message said, "I am missing 4 teeth. My nose is broken. I do not even remember what happened," and the timestamp matched perfectly. But what cut deeper was the caption she wrote, "Friends who laugh at your pain are not friends. Men who sit silent while you bleed are not men, and women who send others to do their dirty work will one day face the truth." Those words hit like a dagger. Funky Deneva, who was once seen as Tamar's ally, was now being dragged across the internet. Fans accused him of caring more about clicks than his friend's life. They replayed his jokes and laughed at how sinister they looked in hindsight. His parody-wanted posters, his sarcastic shade, everything that once seemed funny now looked cruel. Fans accused him of covering up for Yandy and Mendeecees, or at the very least betraying Tamar when she needed him most. And through it all, Yandy and Mendeecees remained silent. Their silence, which once functioned as a shield, was now working like a confession, because if Tamar was lying, why did Yandy not sue if Tamar was confused? Why did Mendeecees not defend his wife if Funky Deneva had the truth? Why did he not go live with it? The fact that they all stayed quiet gave Tamar's every word more weight, and the longer they stayed silent, the more the internet believed her, and then Tamar raised the stakes even higher. She went on video again, her face bruised, her voice shaky but sharp, and she said, "Everybody keeps asking me if I am scared, and the truth is, yes, but I am not scared of the truth. I am scared of how far they will go to hide it. Yandy, you know what happened. Mendeecees, you know you were there. Funky Deneva, you know you covered it up." And with those words, the internet froze again because Tamar was not just dropping hints anymore, she was accusing directly and publicly. No filters, no metaphors, no dodging. She said it plain, and the moment she did, hashtags exploded. Tamar names, Yandy exposed Mendeecees guilty. Funky finished the internet, crowned her the whistleblower of reality TV, and once again Yandy tried to respond without responding, posting her cryptic "God fights my battles" line. But by now the fans were convinced that God was not the one fighting her battles. Cousin Kesha was. And Tamar's voice was louder than their silence. The longer the silence dragged on, the heavier it became until it felt like a confession carved into the timeline. And by the third day, Atlanta felt like it was burning under the weight of this scandal, because Tamar was not just some messy singer anymore. She had become a symbol of silence, breaking her swollen face on hospital sheets, replayed across blogs, YouTube streams, and TikTok edits like a rallying cry fans who once dismissed her. As Dramatic now saw her as the only one willing to speak the truth. And the more Tamar spoke, the more dangerous it became, because she hinted that there was still more proof she had. She ended one of her hospital videos with the sentence, "If they do not stop lying on me, I will drop the videos," and the internet lost its mind. What videos? What proof did Tamar Braxton have? Was it surveillance footage from inside the lounge? Was it a recording of the confrontation? Was it proof that cousin Kesha was in the room? Nobody knew, but nobody cared, because the very idea of Tamar holding evidence that could burn down Yandy and Mendeecees was enough to send the internet into chaos. Fans decided for themselves. They created their own conclusions in threads and comments, saying the videos showed cousin Kesha swinging, that they showed Yandy lurking in the shadows, that they showed Mendeecees watching silently, while Tamar bled even without Tamar releasing a single second of footage. People were convinced it existed, and the pressure on Yandy and Mendeecees mounted. With each passing hour, Yandy tried to keep posting her curated life-polished photos of family barbecues, kids playing in the park, captions about business ventures, but the comments told the truth. The knives had replaced the hearts people demanded. Answers demanded statements, demanded receipts, And no matter how many smiling selfies she posted, the silence around the accusations only grew darker. The internet began calling her a mafia boss who never dirtied her own hands and let cousin Kesha do all the work. Memes painted her as the godmother of reality TV, sitting in control while others fought her battles, and every meme seemed more believable when held up next to Tamar's bloody confession. Meanwhile, Mendeecees was collapsing under his own silence because his weapon had turned into his prison. Tamar's words that he sat and watched her bleed played again and again. The verdict of the fans was simple. Tamar had dragged him into the fire, and his refusal to defend himself only confirmed what she said. And while Funky Deneva tried to laugh it off, he too was swallowed by the backlash. Tamar posted the text she had sent him, begging for help, saying she lost 4 teeth and her nose was broken, and the timestamp was undeniable. Yet instead of support, he made jokes online, and that betrayal cut deep. Fans dug into every sarcastic remark he ever made, every parody, every shade, and they flipped the script. What once was comedy now looked sinister, and instead of laughing with him, they accused him of protecting Yandy, protecting Mendeecees, or simply choosing views over Tamar's life. Tamar's caption that friends who laugh at your pain are not friends echoed across timelines until Funky Deneva's reputation looked worse than ever. And through all of this, whispers started to leak from anonymous sources. One claimed they saw cousin Kesha at the lounge. They would not say she threw a punch, but they swore she was present. Another said Mendeecees was at Tamar's house that night, and the puzzle pieces kept stacking one on top of another, fueling the fire even more. Every rumor made Tamar's bloody words sound more credible. Every anonymous tip made her videos feel more like truth than gossip. And Tamar Braxton was now the center of a storm that felt bigger than any reality TV episode. It was a story about betrayal, about silence, about how messy a single night in Atlanta could become. And Tamar refused to back down from her hospital bed. She became the director of her own drama. Her bruised face was her stage, her trembling voice her weapon, and she knew exactly how to use it. Fans waited breathlessly for the promised videos, wondering what they would reveal because the threat alone had shifted the balance. If Tamar really had evidence, the empire Yandy and Mendeecees built on silence could collapse in an instant, and every minute that passed without a denial, without a lawsuit, without a defense made her words stronger. Atlanta was buzzing like it had never buzzed before. Blogs were ready for another bombshell. YouTubers kept refreshing Tamar's page, waiting for the drop. Fans made countdown threads for the supposed video release, and everywhere you looked, the same question lingered: if Tamar was lying. Why did they stay silent if Yandy was innocent? Why did she only post cryptic scriptures if Mendeecees was not involved? Why did he not defend his name if cousin Kesha had nothing to do with it? Why was everyone convinced she did Tamar's story was messy, but her bloodied face told the world it was real, and the silence of those she accused only wrote the ending for them, because in Atlanta, secrets never stay buried. They bleed, and Tamar Braxton's blood had become the ink that wrote. A scandal too big to ignore. So now the question is, what do you believe? Because Tamar Braxton is still lying in that hospital bed, her face fractured, her teeth missing, and her voice louder than the silence of Yandy Smith, Mendeecees' Harris cousin, Kesha, and Funky Deneva. And while they stay quiet, the internet is making up its own verdict every second that passes. Without their defense makes Tamar's words stronger and her bloodier truth harder to ignore. So ask yourself if Tamar really has those videos. How much longer can they hide if she is lying? Why have they not sued if she is exaggerating? Why have they not gone live with their side? And if cousin Kesha had nothing to do with it, why is her name the one trending again and again? This is not just a scandal. It is a test of silence versus truth, and only one side is winning right now. So tell me, do you think Tamar is exposing the reality TV mafia, or do you think she is playing the biggest messy stunt of her career? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know whose side you are on, and do not forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more breaking truths.